Hey, third grade. If you do not have your fraction pieces that we made, you need to go get those, okay? Because we're going to be working with them today. All right. First, I just want to start off by reviewing fractions, okay? I know it's been a little bit of time since we've talked about fractions, so I want to start off by just reviewing them and kind of just refreshing our brains about what we know about fractions, all right? So, the numerator is the parts of the whole. So this fraction example is 1/4. So the numerator here, and you write 1/4 like this, okay? And you can't see this. It came out black, and I don't know why. The numerator, this is your numerator right here. All right? And this is your denominator. So your denominator or your numerator is the parts of the whole. That's how many parts are being shaded or counted. In this case, you have one part being shaded, and then your denominator is going to be your total number of parts, because in this circle you have 4 total parts. So you have 1 of 4 equal parts. Really, 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 really important that we remember that our parts have to be equal, okay? I cannot draw a circle and do that and say that I shaded 1/4. That is not 1/4 of my circle, all right? We cannot do this. Your parts must be equal, okay? Parts of a set, partitioning among recipients, and then on a number line, and I'm going to talk about number lines a little bit later, but I really just want us to remember this when we're talking about, because this is the most important part when we're talking about comparing fractions and finding equivalent fractions, okay? Is understanding your numerator and your denominator. Your numerator is parts of your whole, so that's how many parts are being shaded or counted. Your denominator is the total number of parts, okay? So just continuing that conversation. Anaya bought a candy bar at the gas station. She noticed the candy bar had 8 equal sections. She ate 5 of the sections and saved the rest for later. Okay, so if we're going to draw a model, I'm going to do a rectangle. And again, when you're drawing your model, you're going to make it as closely equivalent as possible, but because we're humans, it's not always going to be perfect, okay? But as close as equal as you can. So here are her 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here are her 8 pieces, and she ate 5 of them. So I'm going to shade 5 of the pieces because that represents the amount that Anaya ate. Anaya ate 5 out of 8 sections of the candy bar. She ate 5/8 of the candy bar. All right. Javon ordered a pizza. Half of the pizza was pepperoni. How much of the pizza was not pepperoni? Half was pepperoni. How much was not pepperoni? So I'm going to draw a circle because typically pizzas are in a circle. I'm going to cut it in half. How many pieces? If you cut something in half, how many pieces do you have? Good, you have 2 pieces, all right? This one is pepperoni. This one is just cheese. Okay. That's just cheese. Here's your pepperoni pizza. Here's your cheese pizza. This is 1/2. All right. So if this is 1/2, this is also 1/2. All right. That's really, really important. 1 out of 2 sections. This one piece out of both of the pieces, out of 2 sections of the pizza, was not pepperoni, and that fraction is 1/2. Gabriella has to read 3 chapters in her book for homework. She has read 2 chapters so far. For this one, I am just going to draw a rectangle to resemble a book. How many pieces am I going to cut this book into or my rectangle into? Good job. I'm going to cut it into 3 pieces. Again, as even as possible. I know that that's not super even, but I'm a human and it's not going to be. Okay. These are her 3 chapters she has to read. She's already read 2 of them. Gabriella has read 2 out of 3 chapters. She has read 2/3 of her book so far. Okay? Now, I want us to look at our fraction pieces. Okay? So I'm going to get my fraction pieces and I'm going to set them out. And I'm going to start with 1 whole and then go down the fraction. So 1 whole, 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 6, and 8. Okay, so I have my fraction pieces laid out, or my fraction bars or strips laid out here. Okay, what do you notice about your fraction pieces as you move down your fraction bars or your fraction strips? What do you notice about the fraction pieces as you move down? Good. Your pieces are getting smaller. The size of each piece, 1/2 is bigger than 1/3. 1/3 is bigger than 1/4. 1/4 is bigger than 1/6. 1/6 is bigger than 1/8. Why are they getting smaller? Good. Because the number of pieces that you're cutting your strip into is getting more. So my strips are the same size, okay? All of your strips are the same length, all right? But the number of pieces that you're trying to fit inside each strip is becoming more and more as you move down your fraction strips, and so your pieces are going to get smaller. So 1/2 is always going to be bigger than 1/3 if your pieces are equivalent, if your wholes are equivalent. 1/3 is always going to be bigger than 1/4 if your wholes are equivalent. It's really, really important that you are comparing wholes that are going to be the same size, or you're looking for wholes of equivalent sizes, because if you're not doing that, then you're not working with equivalent fractions, and then that just throws everything off, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on, but I just want us to look at these fraction pieces and really become familiar with them. And I really, really hope that you made these yesterday, and if you haven't made these, I need you to go back and watch the video from yesterday. So you guys can have these because you're going to be using them. Now, yes, you do have virtual manipulatives that you can use, but it's really important that we have them at our fingertips and we have them right here. If you wanted to make a second set of these and cut them up, you could do that also. So that way you have individual pieces of 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, or 1/6. However you want to do that. You don't have to, that's just a recommendation, but you really, really need to get these pieces done, okay? I'm also going to include this. This is already done for you. It's already colored for you. There is a black and white version if you want it. And you guys can cut your pieces that way if you have a printer at home. And you're more than welcome to use these on a regular basis instead of using your fraction strips. But if you don't have access to a printer, there's no reason you don't have fraction strips because I showed you how to make them. All right. I want to move on to talking about fractions on a number line, and just going back to that. I know we've talked about this in the past, but I want to go and just refresh our memories. Okay, so there are a total of 6 rooms in a house and 2 have been painted, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the whole house, each of the little spaces represents 1 room, all right? They have painted 2 of them. So they jumped 1, 2. 2/6 of the houses have been painted. The total number of sections, which is 1, and to count your sections, you count from 0 or your starting number to your ending number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are your 6 spaces, the total number of sections, and the sections away from 0. So wherever your point lands, that is where your fraction is. And they already did it for you here, up here. So, oops, 1, 2. All right? So that fraction is 2/6. Okay? Now, halves, fourths, and eighths. I want us to look at this. 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches is going to be between 3 and 4, and it's going to be halfway, so 3.5. 2 3/4. I don't know why these did not come out, but they did not when I printed them. All right? 2 3/4. 2 3/4 is going to be between 2, that is your whole number, and 3. And then they divided this up into 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they land on 1, 2, 3. So 2 3/4. That's how you write that fraction. That is called a mixed number. You have a whole number and you have a fraction. All right? Same thing here. 1 5/8. 1 5/8 is going to be between the whole numbers of 1 and 2. And then they cut these up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have 8 sections or 8 spaces between the whole numbers of 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they went 1 5/8. Okay, we're going to take this and keep practicing this in just a second. All right, I just want to determine these fractions on a number line. So I need to determine this is my point right here. I'm first going to count for my denominator. 1, 2. And my fraction or my point is after 1 section. So my fraction is 1/2. All right. I want you to see if you can do this one right here. How many spaces or how many sections do we have in this fraction here? Good. We have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that your numerator or your denominator? That is your denominator. Wonderful job. All right, and then we're going to count the sections to where my point lands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. How many sections do we have in this number line? Good. We have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how many spaces or sections away from 0 is my point? 1, 2. All right. How many spaces do we have in this number line? Good. That was easy. 1, 2, 3. And my point is 1, 2 spaces away. All right. So my fraction is 2/3. My fraction here is 2/6. My fraction here is 5/8. And my fraction here is 1/2.